Throughout history, wars have shaped borders, toppled empires, and given rise to new civilizations, but some battles, just a handful, stand above the rest. These moments of chaos and courage didn't just end wars. They redrew the map of the world, shifted the balance of power, and changed the fate of millions. Behind every date and name lies a turning point that forged the future. From the deserts of Persia to the beaches of Normandy, this is the story of 10 battles that left their mark not just on history books but on humanity itself. They weren't just military victories or defeats. They were the day history took a new path. Gaugamela, 331 BCE. In the dry plains of Persia, Alexander the Great faced Darius III in a battle that would decide the fate of the known world. Outnumbered and far from home, Alexander's army used superior tactics and speed to break through the Persian lines. Darius fled. The Persian Empire, once the most powerful in the world, began to crumble. Alexander didn't just win a war. He opened the door to a wave of Greek culture, science, and language that would spread from Egypt to India. This was the birth of the Hellenistic world, but the true impact went beyond military victory. Alexander's march through the East created cities like Alexandria, blending Eastern and Western ideas in ways that reshaped trade, education, and religion for centuries. The fusion of Greek and Eastern cultures would echo through philosophy, architecture, and even early science, laying foundations for future civilizations. Hastings, 1066. On an English hillside, two worlds collided. Anglo-Saxon King Harold II had just defeated a Viking invasion when William of Normandy crossed the Channel. The battle was brutal. Harold died, some say with an arrow to the eye, and William took the crown. But the real victory was cultural. French language and law merged with Saxon traditions, laying the foundation for modern English identity. The DNA of England changed forever on that battlefield. French became the language of the elite. Legal systems evolved. Castles rose across the land. The Normans rewrote English governance, and the church was restructured under Norman leadership. This moment not only shaped England, but it planted the seeds for centuries of Anglo-French rivalry that would define European power dynamics. Agincourt, 1415. In the mud of northern France, English and French forces met in one of the most iconic battles of the Hundred Years' War. King Henry V led a weary, outnumbered English army of mostly archers and infantry against a massive French force of knights. But the muddy terrain, narrow field, and disciplined use of longbows turned the tide. French cavalry were crushed before reaching the front lines. The English victory was not just a military triumph, it became a national myth. Henry's speech and courage would echo in literature and legend. The battle showed the decline of knightly warfare and the rise of common soldiers as decisive actors. It also secured temporary English dominance in France and shook the confidence of the French nobility. Constantinople, 1453. For over a millennium, Constantinople stood as the heart of the Byzantine Empire, a fortress between Europe and Asia. But by the 15th century, it was surrounded by the rising power of the Ottomans. Sultan Mehmed II launched a well-planned siege, using massive cannons to pound the city's legendary walls. After 53 days, the Ottomans breached the defenses. The fall of Constantinople marked the end of the Eastern Roman Empire and a shift in global power. It also drove Greek scholars westward, helping spark the European Renaissance. The Hagia Sophia became a mosque, and the city was renamed Istanbul. The battle symbolized not just conquest, but the beginning of a new Islamic era in southeastern Europe and a gateway between civilizations. Lepanto, 1571. The Battle of Lepanto was one of the last great galley battles in naval history. A coalition of Catholic states known as the Holy League faced the mighty Ottoman fleet in the Gulf of Patras. The Ottomans aimed to expand further west into the Mediterranean, but were stopped cold. Christian forces led by Don John of Austria used superior tactics and coordination to shatter the Ottoman line. It was a bloody, close-range conflict. Thousands died. The battle marked the end of Ottoman naval dominance in the West and gave Europe a moment of unity against a common threat. Lepanto became a powerful symbol of Christian resistance, celebrated in art and poetry. Although the Ottomans rebuilt their fleet, their momentum in the Western Mediterranean was lost. Waterloo, 1815. After escaping exile on Elba, Napoleon Bonaparte returned to France and reclaimed power. But Europe had seen enough. A coalition of British, Dutch, and Prussian forces gathered to stop him. On June 18, 1815, near the town of Waterloo in Belgium, the two forces collided. Despite early gains, Napoleon's army faltered under the relentless counterattacks led by the Duke of Wellington and Field Marshal Blücher. Heavy rain, late reinforcements, and strategic missteps doomed Napoleon's chances. He was defeated and exiled for good. The battle marked the final end of the Napoleonic Wars and led to a major reshaping of Europe at the Congress of Vienna. Monarchies were restored and the old balance of power returned, though not for long. Gettysburg, 1863. In the rolling hills of Pennsylvania, the American Civil War reached its most critical moment. Confederate General Robert E. Lee launched an invasion into Union territory, hoping to force a political settlement or gain foreign recognition. Over 3 days, fierce combat raged around hills, ridges, and fields. Key locations like Little Round Top and Pickett's Charge became legendary. Union forces, led by General George Meade, held their ground. Lee's army was forced to retreat, suffering massive losses. Gettysburg marked a turning point in the war. It ended the South's ability to wage offensive war and set the stage for Union victory. President Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, delivered months later, redefined the conflict as a struggle not just for Union, but for a new birth of freedom. The Somme, 1916. One of the deadliest battles in history, the Somme became a symbol of the horrors of trench warfare. British and French forces launched an offensive against entrenched German lines in northern France. On the first day alone, British casualties numbered over 57,000, the bloodiest day in British military history. The battle dragged on for months with little territorial gain and over 1 million total casualties. Artillery barrages, machine guns, gas attacks, and mud defined the experience. The Somme exposed the brutal cost of modern industrial war and shattered illusions of glory and honor in combat. It also marked the beginning of new military strategies and technologies, including the first large-scale use of tanks. Though the Allies advanced slightly, the psychological damage was far greater. Stalingrad, 1942-1943. The city of Stalingrad became the site of one of the most brutal battles of World War II. Hitler's forces pushed deep into the Soviet Union, aiming to seize the oil fields of the Caucasus. But at Stalingrad, the Red Army made its stand. The city was bombed into rubble and fighting devolved into close-quarters combat in factories and ruins. In a daring move, Soviet forces encircled the German Sixth Army. Cut off from supplies, the Germans froze and starved through the winter. When they surrendered in February 1943, it was the first major defeat for the Nazis and a turning point in the war. Stalingrad became a symbol of Soviet resilience and marked the beginning of the German retreat on the Eastern Front, Normandy, 1944. On June 6, 1944, Allied forces launched the largest amphibious invasion in history, D-Day. Soldiers from the United States, Britain, Canada, and other nations stormed the beaches of Nazi-occupied France. Under heavy fire, they established beachheads at Omaha, Utah, Gold, Juneau, and Sword. The fighting was fierce and costly, but the Allies succeeded in breaking through German defenses. The invasion allowed the Allies to liberate France and eventually push into Germany. Normandy marked the beginning of the end for Hitler's Third Reich. It also symbolized global cooperation, with nations uniting to defeat tyranny. The battle's success was a triumph of planning, courage, and sheer determination. The legacy of battle. These 10 battles didn't just decide wars, they built the world we live in. But conflict never truly ends. Today, new powers rise, old rivalries return, and technology changes the nature of war faster than ever before. What battles lie ahead? And which turning points are we living through right now without even realizing it? History may not repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And as long as there are borders, beliefs, and ambition, the clash of forces will continue. The next great battle might not be fought with swords or guns, but its consequences could shape the next 1,000 years. Enjoying the journey through history? Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community of history enthusiasts. Don't forget to leave a comment below. Tell us what you think, share your favorite historical insights, or suggest a topic you'd love to see us explore. And if you know someone who would love diving into the past, share this video with them. Let's uncover history together.